What's up? What's up? It is still Sunday.
If it weren't for your maturity.
Just got home from my parents, went over there to watch the Cowboys play the Green Bay Packers. The Packers were giving them a couldn't stand it.
This would have happened if you.
That's always the problem when your team's doing well and they make it so far into the playoffs because anxiety. I grew up in Albuquerque, so I've always been a big Cowboys fan. They call it America's team. Back then, and even farther back, when you lived in Albuquerque or somewhere out there, you didn't have a team. And I guess that's what the Cowboys were. They were the team for everybody that didn't have a team. And I was always a big Cowboys fan, so I was excited I was hopeful that they would do well. I'm going to try to go to bed at some point, and if I tried to watch that whole game, I would never get to be able to fall asleep. So we got out of there. They threw an interception. I was like, that's it. We're done.
Weren't so wise beyond your years, I would have been able to control myself. If it weren't for my attention, you wouldn't have.
I posted this vlog. I posted the vlog today about, just talking about some stuff that I was going through. And it's funny how many people reach out to me because, one of the things about vlogging for me, I started watching this guy, and he was so, he did all this great photography and flying drones, and he has this great skateboard, and he lives in New York City, and half of his vlog, when I said it, and then he decided he's not going to vlog anymore. But one of his big things about vlogging was he decided he was going to try to do it every day. That was the commitment. That meant that he was going to try to be creative every day and come up with something because he had made the commitment. And one of the big parts of his vlog is the drama of the city, and he was always traveling because he's a big YouTuber, so he's always going to speak in different countries and doing talks for YouTube, and he was married to a girl who was from South Africa, and he just did all this great stuff, and I loved what he did, but the reality for me is I don't have all that. I do have a drone, and I try to go fly the drone, and one of the cool things about the drone was trying to give a view of things around where I live that you just can't get from the street or from a lookout or from a walking trail.
Been successful, and if it weren't for me, you would never have amounted to very much. This could be messy, but you don't seem to mind. And don't go telling everybody, and don't overlook this supposed crime. We'll fast forward to.
And that's been one of the exciting things. But what it's really turned out for me is in the vlogging is really just talking about what's going on in my life. I guess I could sit and write this down or type it out on a blog. But some of this is, it's kind of therapeutic. I don't really, I have zero college education. I did do some, went to turf management school, and I went to hair school, and I did go to advertising school for a little while when I lived out in San Diego. But as far as like, a four-year degree in anything, I don't have that. Just a school of hard knocks, and but I do like to just talk about what's going on in my life, and I try to be real about it. My life is not all roses.
A few years later, no one knows except the both of us. And I haven't had your request for silence, and you washed your hands clean of this. You're essentially my employee. I like you having to depend on me. You're a kind of protege, and one day you'll say you learned all you know from me. And I know you depend on me like a young thing would to a guardian. I know you.
I was over there talking to my mom, and she reminded me, and I remind myself that, sometimes I put so much into something so small, and I forget to look at all of the great things that I have in my life. The meeting that I went to this morning, the girl was talking about ambition, and one of my biggest things is if someone's going to be in my life, I'd like them to be ambitious. And unfortunately, sometimes the definition or my definition of ambitious isn't always a great definition of it. To me, ambition is, you get up and you want to try to do things and better yourself. But this girl reminded me that, ambition is about, I guess, being able to maybe live a life that's less selfless. I wish I could remember the quote. I'll have to maybe text her or email her or somehow get a hold of her and find the quote. But, my definition and probably the real definition of ambition could be a little bit different. And it's really about living a life that isn't about stuff and what I'm getting. I think, ambition is, you go work hard for what, more money, so that you can have more stuff and you can appear higher up in the hierarchy and, with other people around you.
Sexualize me like a young thing would, and I think I like it. Ooh, this could get messy, but you don't seem to mind. Don't go telling everybody.
And that's all just phony. And sometimes I get confused by that, and I'm not being very ambitious right now. I'm not being very ambitious lately. I like to say that I'm doing things, and I always tell my boys, get up every day and try to do whatever you want to do and do something new. And the world is, at your fingertips, and that is always true. But just as long as it's not about trying to become rich and to appear better, and so people think more of you, because unfortunately, I guess I think less of myself. And as silly as that is, it really made me think. Every time, the meeting that I went to this morning it happens all the time. Someone will speak and they talk for 15 or 20 minutes, and then it's the last 3-4 minutes of what they talk about that really gets to me.
Overlook this supposed crime. We'll fast forward to a few years later, and no one knows except the both of.
And that's the way it was today. And it was just really made me really take a different look at what real ambition is. And I don't know. I'm kind of doing another vlog, I guess, because I took the drone out and I flew it around Lewis, which was in my the first vlog I posted today. But then I also took it to Gordon's Pond, and it's just so beautiful out there. I've flown it there before, and I've posted footage from that same area before, but it's still beautiful. And I was talking to a guy yesterday who bought a drone, and he says, he goes, I can send it out, whatever, a mile or something. He goes, but it's so sketchy. And I go, yes. It's hard to have people understand the real anxiety and stress it is when you fly a drone a mile away or a mile and a half away from you, and you can't see it, and you worry about it coming back.
If more than honored your request for science, you wash your hands clean of this. What part of our history's reinvented and on the rug swept? What part of your memory is selective and tends to forget? What with this distance it seems so.
My whole drone experience started back in November when I ordered this DJI Mavic drone, which is this great fold-up drone. It's top of the line, and I had ordered it, and it was supposed to be delivered December the 2nd, and then I had gotten an email the 1st and said it's not coming, and that's when I ended up. They said it was so back ordered that it wouldn't be here until they didn't even know. That's when I ordered the Autel drone and have had just a blast with that drone. It's just been everything. But I just got an email today that says that the new DJI Mavic drone that I ordered back in December has been shipped. So it's supposed to be here, I don't know, next couple days, I guess. One of my biggest issues with the Autel drone is that when it gets out there, the video link breaks up a little bit. So, you know, when I'm turning or trying to keep things real steady, the video monitor or what I see from the camera on the drone, it breaks up on the screen, and then, you know, the drone could have turned halfway around before I realize it, and it just makes for some sloppy video. And I'm hoping this drone is actually supposed to be able to go 3.5 miles away, so that will be interesting. I had first considered selling my Autel drone, but I really love it. And the guy from India that's the lead guy on the team that's building my app, he's like, oh, he just loves the drone. And I said, I tell you what, man, if you finish this app and it's working great, of course it'll work great. And it's not if, but you know, when it's finished and we finally have some success with it, I said, I'll give it to you. And I mean that, because that guy's he's a great guy, and they're doing great work. And it's probably, besides the obvious, because I tend to miss the obvious stuff that's going on in my life. You know, my kids and my job and my house, and you know, the ability to be able to, you know, afford and pay and take care of us all. But those guys working on this app for me have, you know, really brought some peace to my life in that department. So I have a lot of appreciation to those guys, and hopefully I'll talk to him soon. I do not know how to pronounce his name. I see it, and I just don't want to say it because I don't want to butcher it, but I'm going to ask him, how do you pronounce your name? Because I really want to recognize them in that company, because anybody that's ever tried to do something where they're building something through software or whatever, and they, you always hear, oh, get people from India. It is a sketchy, and it's not sketchy meaning like the people in India aren't any good. There's just so much, and it's hard to pick and choose. So these guys are great. It's great to know that I have that connection, and if I can ever steer somebody in their direction, I'd love to.
Yes. Just make sure you don't tell on me, especially to members of your family. We best keep this to ourselves and not tell any members of our inner posse. I wish I could tell the world, 'cause you're such a pretty thing when you're done up properly. I might want to marry you one day if you watch that way.